Shalawam, shalawam. All right. First and foremost, all praises be to Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham Akakadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of the great millstone, which rule well and teach well, and sincerity taught us this truth. And Shalawam to the Lord's hopeful elect, 144,000 men, as well as 1/3 men, women, and children, maintaining themselves, keeping the laws, commandments, and statutes to the best of their ability. It's your brother Hiram Kazak, back with hopefully another edifying lesson through the spirit and power of Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham Akakadash, the true names of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, and the Lashawan Kadash, the Paleo Hebrew. Okay, this lesson will be entitled Hiram, Solomon, Moses, and Pharaoh. Okay, so we're gonna go into them. I was recently in this live with these individuals, and they were basically going into the scriptures. I mean, going at the scriptures, saying that the scriptures aren't true. So it's plenty of archaeological evidence that can prove these things. Now, the specific points they were saying is that the Olmec heads are not the heads of Africans, right? Which we understand that those are the landmarks that were placed down, right? But we're going to show it with the scriptures, and we're going to show how Solomon was the greatest king on this planet with the scriptures, right? At the end of the day, we prove all things through the scriptures. We don't prove it with the world of the wisdom of the world, etc., etc. All right. Now, let's go to 1 Kings, the 10th chapter, and start at the verse 14. And as you can see, the caption is wealth, splendor, and wisdom. Now, the weight of gold that came to Solomon in 1 year was 636 talents of gold. Beside that, he had of the merchantmen, and of the traffic of the spice merchants, and of all the kings of Arabia, and of the governors of the country. And King Solomon made 200 targets of beaten gold, 600 shekels of gold went to one target. And he made 300 shields of beaten gold, 3 pounds of gold went to one shield, and the king put them in the house of the forest of Lebanon. Moreover, the king made a great throne of ivory, and overlaid it with the best gold. The throne had 6 steps, and the top of the throne was round behind, and there were stays on either side on the piece of the seat. And 2 lions stood beside the stays, and 12 lions stood there on the one side, and on the other upon the 6 steps. There were not like the like made in any kingdom. All right, so this is being told to you to let you know his status, his understanding, and his wealth. Okay? And all King Solomon drinking vessels were of gold. He drunk out of gold cups. And all the vessels of the house of the forest of Lebanon were of pure gold. None were of silver. That's letting you know we don't drink out of silver. All right? It's letting you know his status, his wealth. It was nothing accounted of in the days of Solomon. Nothing accounted. It was so much wealth. All right? At the end of the day. For the king had at sea a navy of Tarshish with the navy of Hiram. Once in 3 years came the navy of Tarshish, bringing gold and silver, ivory and apes and peacocks. Okay? Now let's go into both of those words, Tarshish and Hiram, to let you get a full understanding of who they were. All right? Right here. Tarshish. Tarshish or Tarshish is what? The son of Javan. What is Javan? That's going back to the Greeks. Now, what Greeks is this referring to? Okay? It's referring to the Japhetic, the true Greeks, true Javan. All right? At the end of the day. Keeping it going down a little bit right here. Site unknown, but perhaps in Cyprus or Spain. Tarshish is the true Spanish. They dwelt in Spain. Let's go down to the Strong's Concordance, right? Strong's definition says probably the same as H8658 as the region of the stone or the reverse, Tarshish, a place on the Mediterranean, hence the epithet of a merchant vessel as if for or from that port. Also the name of a Persian or of an Israelite. That's not what it's referring to, but it's referring to the Spanish, the Japhetic tribe. Let's go to the Table of Nations to furthermore show you this. And understanding, I didn't expect those brothers to get it for anybody that was in that live that I was in, right? Because it's not been given to them. Understanding that faith is a gift. The Holy Spirit is a gift at the end of the day, all right? Even though all those brothers were Israelites, they couldn't understand it. They couldn't get it. It wasn't for them. Now you go to the Table of Nations, you go down to the 17th nation, it's the Spanish or Tarshish, same individual. They're under who? Japheth, okay? At the end of the day. So these are Japhetics, all right? Greek. They're the son of Javan, right? Right? So that's the Greek nation, Javan. They are what? They're Japhetic. All right? So Kittim, Cyprus, they're Japhetic. The true Germans, the true Ashkenaz, they're Japhetic. The true Russians, Magog, they're Japhetic, right? Gog was of the tribe, he was of the tribe of Magog, the nation of Magog, or the Russians. Turkey is Gomer, they're Japhetic, right? So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 Japhetic nations. So King Solomon, as you can see, going back to here, understanding this, he was what? You go down here, let's go back to 15. Besides that, he had of the merchants and of the traffic of the spice merchants and of all the kings of Arabia and of the governors of the country. He was employing other nations, right? For anybody that does not have an understanding, King Solomon was employing all other nations. Now, first and foremost, let's go to the blessings. Brothers always stay in them curses, but let's go to the blessings and understand what happens, man. Let's start at the top. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of Yahawah thy power, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that Yahawah thy power will set thee on high above all nations of the earth. King Solomon was set on high above all nations of the earth. Every nation was under him. They had to come and borrow. They had to come and seek wisdom. Verse 2, and all these blessings shall come on thee and overtake thee. Oh, blessings going, blessing upon blessing upon blessing. Blessings overtaking. If thou shalt hearken unto the voice of Yahawah thy power, blessed shalt thou be in the city, blessed shalt thou be in the field, blessed shall be the fruit. Hold up, man. 1 second. I'm trying to see why is this no, it's all good. All right. Blessed shall be the fruit of thy body and the fruit of thy ground and the fruit of thy cattle, the increase of thy kind and the flocks of thy sheep. Blessed shall be the basket and thy store. Blessed shall thou be when thou comest in, and blessed shall thou be when thou goest out. Yahawah shall cause thine enemies that rise up against thee to be smitten before thy face. They shall come out against thee one way and flee before thee 7 ways. Yahawah shall command the blessing upon thee in thy storehouses. So wealth, understanding, resources, your crops, our land. When we was in the land of Israel, everything grew. Okay? It was similar to how it was in the garden, because the land of Israel is that garden on the earth, Jerusalem. Okay? Salakia. Okay? So when we was in that land, everything was prosperous. Crops, women, we was producing kids, multiple wives, you know, beautiful. Everything was beautiful. All right. You look at that land now, they have to import everything. Nothing grows in that land like that. Because Esau is cursed. More so, he's cursed. The land hates him. All right. That's why he has to eat the dust of the earth. He has all these type of factories and he creates what? GMOs. Because as he produces food, guess what? The food stops producing seeds. This is his curse, man. All right. At the end of the day, this guy, he does not have a green thumb. He has the opposite. Okay. Verse 9, Yahawah shall establish thee an holy people unto himself, as he have sworn unto thee, if thou keep the commandments of Yahawah thy power and walk in thy ways. And all people of the earth shall see that thou art called by the name of Yahawah, and they shall be afraid of thee. And Yahawah shall make thee plenteous in goods, in the fruit of thy body, and in the fruit of thy cattle, and in the fruit of thy ground, in the land which Yahawah sware unto thy fathers to give thee. Yahawah shall open unto thee his good treasure, the heaven, to give the rain unto thy land in his season, and to bless all the work of thine hand, and thou shalt lend unto many nations. It's the point being, and thou shalt not borrow. And Yahawah shall make thee the head and not the tail. And thou shalt be above only, and thou shalt not be beneath. If that thou hearkeneth unto the commandments of Yahawah thy power, which I command thee this day to observe and to do them, and thou shalt not go aside from any of the words which I command thee this day, to the right hand or to the left, or go after other gods to serve them. Now we ultimately know the ending of that story, that we fell, right? And all the curses were placed upon us. And once you're under those curses, you have to wait on Yahawashi. All right, pretty much. This is why we constantly went through cycles of, you go through captivity after captivity after captivity after captivity to the point where we're at right now. All right, I can bring you up real quick. Brother, how about you?
To read this based off of what you was talking about with the land and how it's not giving fruit. I want to see how to.
Go ahead, bring it up. I can't hear you. It's like a bad signal or something.
This is how the land is set up.
I can't hear you. I can't hear the brother, man. Yeah, we can't hear what you're saying. You gotta get your signal fix it. Get your signal correct or something. I don't know what's going on, but I can't hear you. Was that just me? Kawam said he can't hear you either. All right, we can't hear you though. Hello?
I don't know what just happened.
It's like going in and out.
Salaki.
Okay, I can hear you now.
All right, cool. In the beginning.
Yeah, it's still going in and out.
I'll just send you a picture of it then. Salakia.
I got it.
Shalawam.
Just put
Yahawah
it
Shem Shabbat.
post it up. I got you, brother, man. You know, hey, we all got, and I be hating Esau's damn system, man. Like, I got a smart TV, right? But I cut the TV on, and it be like, it's not connected to the internet, but everything else connected. It take the smart TV like 5 minutes to connect to the internet. You know, you got all this bullshit ass technology. We ain't gonna have to deal with this in the kingdom, you know. But hey, back to it. And brother had brother had a book pertaining to how Esau isn't able to grow anything, you know, and we can see that through the evidence of them having GMO foods and warehouses and things of that nature. And they also don't keep the land Sabbath. You're supposed to let the land rest and every 7 years, right? So they don't do that. So let's keep it going. Back to 1 Kings, the 10th chapter. We read Deuteronomy 28, 1 through 14 to let you know that what? We was keeping the laws, commandments, and statutes. Therefore, these blessings would be upon us, right? Especially like because King David, he had a heart after Yahawah, a mind after Yahawah, right? So he loved the Most High. All right. Anytime he went off, he repented. He got back right. Okay. So keeping it going, verse 23. So King Solomon exceeded all the kings of the earth for riches and for wisdom. Now, before we go there, let's get Hiram, because we broke down that Tarshish is going back to what? Is to Japheth. Okay? So let's go to Hiram right here. And Hiram, or the king of Tyre, who sent workmen and materials to Jerusalem to build both the palace for David and the temple for Solomon, right? So them guys in that live was talking about you need proof. It's all documented through the history books, man. Okay, that these other nations were working under King Solomon and under David. All right, the chief architect and engineer of Solomon's temple, sent by King Hiram to Solomon. Now, furthermore, let's go into it. Another form of Sharam, the name of two Tyrenians. So let's go into Tyre, because that'll furthermore trace it back. I already know these are Hamites, but I want to keep that right there. Tyre. What nation of people is Tyre? The ancient city of Tyre, located in modern-day Lebanon, was primarily inhabited by Phoenicians. Now, what are Phoenicians? They are Canaanites. The people of Tyre, known as Tyrenians, were renowned for their seafaring and trade expertise, establishing a vast maritime empire and colonies throughout the Mediterranean. So you go back to the scriptures and you start to understand it more. For the king, King Solomon, had at sea a navy of Tarshish, the Japhetic nations, which they were good at selling, with the navy of Hiram, or Phoenicians, Canaanites, which were good at selling. These were two nations that were prominent on the water. Okay? So they already were doing these type of things. They already had the ships. He just employed them. Once in 3 years came the navy of Tarshish, bringing gold and silver, ivory and apes, and peacocks. All right? So, hold up. What happened? Oh. All right. Once in 3 years. So, as we're about to bring out in Second Esdras, they were venturing over to America, over to Arsareth, right? It took them a year and a half to get there by boat, all right, during that time period. So once in 3 years. So a year and a half plus a year and a half is 3 years. So they went there, they got there, they collected the resources, and then they brought it all back. It took them a total of 3 years. So where were they bringing it to? They were bringing it to King Solomon. All right, now let's keep it going. Verse 23. So King Solomon exceeded, furthermore, to let you know that these Phoenicians are Hamites. Let's go back to, because the Phoenicians, as we said, are Canaanites. And Canaan goes into what? South Africans. Canaan. Okay? And these are what? Ham had 4 sons. Cush, Mizraim, Phut, and Canaan. Okay? The Phoenicians come through this lineage. All right? At the end of the day. So that's letting you know that King Solomon employed Japhetic nations, the Spanish, the Tarshish, which were good at selling, and he employed the Phoenicians, the Canaanites, which were good at selling, maritime activities. Right? Now keeping it going. And I'm like, damn, man, we going into knowledge and shit. Ain't nobody in here. That's beautiful, man. All right? I don't give a fuck. We still gonna bring it out. So King Solomon exceeded all the kings of the earth for riches and for wisdom. And all the earth sought to Solomon to hear his wisdom, which power had put in his heart. Taking it back, let's go to Deuteronomy 28. What did verse 12 say? Yahawah shall open unto thee his good treasure, the heaven, to give the rain unto the land in his season, and to bless all the work of thine hand, and thou shalt lend unto many nations, and thou shalt not borrow. So what was taking place? We were doing that. All right. All the earth sought to Solomon to hear his wisdom, which power had put in his heart. And they brought every man his present vessels of silver and vessels of gold, and garments and armor and spices, horses and mules, a rate year by year. Year by year. This is what's going to be taking place in the kingdom. The nations under servitude, coming up, order of Melchizedek, Malak Tazadak, bringing us goods, bringing us horses, mules, gold, rubies, sapphires, all precious stones, all precious garments, materials, okay, making us stuff, gifts, right? Giving their daughters to us, arranged marriages. Please take my daughter as a concubine. This is going to be constant and common because they want to, what? Please the rulers of the planet. Okay? Verse 26. And Solomon gathered together chariots and horsemen, and he had 1,400 chariots and 12,000 horsemen, whom he bestowed in the cities for chariots, and with the king at Jerusalem. And the king made silver to be in Jerusalem as stones, and cedars made he to be as the sycamore trees that are in the vale for abundance. And Solomon had horses brought out of Egypt, and linen yarn. The king's merchants received the linen yarn at a price. And a chariot came up and went out of Egypt for 600 shekels of silver, and an horse for 150. And so what are you doing? You're giving, you're selling, you are trading. And so for all the kings of the Hittites are what? They're Canaanites. And for the kings of Syria, they're Shamites. All right, Syria, let's go back to the table of nations. Okay? Syria is what? Aram, right here. So they're Shemitic. All right? He had all these nations were under King Solomon. Okay? The whole earth, it might have been minor wars here and there, but it wasn't wars like when it was King David, going through fighting, much blood on his hand. It wasn't much blood on King Solomon's hand. Okay? He was making marriages and creating peace through that. All right? It was a time where they was about to fight Egypt, but he just married the Pharaoh's daughter and created peace through that. So you had these type of situations going on. So it wasn't too much, and through all of that, what happened? We grew. We became numerous. We became great, right? It was more diplomacy in the sense. But he was the king, man. He ruled over this planet. Keeping it going. And a chariot came up and went out of Egypt for 600 shekels of silver, and an horse for 150. And so for all the kings of the Hittites and for the kings of Syria, did they bring them out by their means. Everybody was coming to us, bringing, gifting, borrowing, working, employed. It was employment over here. Hey, y'all got ships. I need y'all to go to South America and get me gold, silver, peacocks, etc., etc. That's letting you know that they feared us also. Because why don't they just take the gold, the peacocks, the apes, and the silver and all and the ivory? Why don't they just take that to their own nation? Because we were ruling the land. It's talking about dominion. We had dominion over these nations, so they did what we said. They did what King Solomon wanted them to do. It was the agreement. All right? They were what? They were subduing. They were submitting. They were in a submissive position. We were ruling over them. But Jake can't seem to get that through their head. Jake want to be Egyptians. Jake want to be all these other type of things. You don't want to be an Israelite, understanding the history of our people, the royalty of it, the greatness of it. Right? So let's keep it going. All right, because we understand. Let's get a little bit more in verse 11. But King Solomon loved many strange women, together with the daughter of Pharaoh, women of the Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Zidonians, and Hittites. Right? He began to take many wives, many concubines, and they began to what? Turn his heart from Yahawah. Let's go to Deuteronomy 17 and 17. You can take many wives, but what? Neither shall he multiply wives to himself, that his heart turn not away. Neither shall he greatly multiply to himself silver and gold. So these are things that can turn your heart from Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi. Mammon, money, or women, honey. All right? These type of things, if they come and they latch on to you and they get they're pleasing. A woman is pleasing to the eye. Money, wealth is pleasing to the pocket, right? But you have to remember who allowed you to have these things, who set these things up in your life, who raises a man up, who brings a man down to the grave, who makes a man rich, who makes a man poor. Yahawah, all right? Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi. So you can't get caught up in what you have. You have to always be grateful and pray about it. And remember and praise Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi in everything, in every accomplishment, everything that you have. Don't allow however many women you have to turn your heart away from Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi. All right? Women have been our downfall many times. Look at Samson. Look at King David. Okay? He unalived an Israelite to take his wife. Okay? You look at these women that were wicked. Look at King Ahab and Jezebel. Okay? He was allowing that woman to rule over him. All right? So women have been our downfall many times because men were what? They were acting simpish. They were going out of their wits for women, losing their mind over women, breaking the laws, commandments, and statutes for women. Right? This is a common thing in our nation. You'd be like, oh, that was back then. No, it's still happening. A common murder is Jake fighting over a woman. Fighting over because this woman messing with two dudes. So now somebody got to get unalive. That's how Jake be moving these days. And you know that's a fact. Right? So let's go back to that. 1 Kings 11:2. Of the nations concerning which Yahawah said unto the children of Israel, ye shall not go into them, neither shall they come in unto you, for surely they will turn away your heart after their gods. Solomon clave unto these in love. And he had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines, and his wives turned away his heart. For it came to pass when Solomon was old that his wives turned away his heart after other gods, and his heart was not perfect with Yahawah his power, as was the heart of David his father. So this is allowing you to know that King Solomon did not repent. He didn't turn back to Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi. He constantly built up statues of Baal, of Molech, of Ashtaroth, of all of these women's gods. He built up Egyptian gods, Moabite gods, Ammonite gods, Edomite gods, Zidonians, Hittites, Canaanites, right? He built up their gods in the land of Israel. Okay? And that trickled down to the rulers afterwards. This is why of the northern kingdom, you had none that was righteous. And of the southern kingdom, you had very few that was righteous. The land was defiled because of whoredom, because many were worshiping false gods. All right? The temple was defiled. All these type of things were defiled. We were on a crash course to destruct, a crash course of destruction. And that ultimately would happen. Just now, you can look at us now. We're on a crash course of destruction. The 2/3, all right? The 144,000 and the 1/3, they're trying to repent, convert, and they are repenting and converting and getting right. You know, they're getting right with Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi. Okay, at the end of the day. Kat said, question, can you show me Bible where it tells that the 12 tribes came from these countries? What countries? Rephrase your question. What countries? What are you talking about? What countries? You talking about the chart? This lesson is not about the chart. Okay, Kat? You know, the water, Kakama. You don't got a blocker, but you just mute. You know, my question to you is, what is this lesson about? That's my question to you. Can you tell me what this lesson is about? Right? You just come in here talking random, man. It's like your life is on random. You just hitting the random button. I'm just jumping alive and say something random. You understand, Kat? Or you already left? Hey, you already left. Because you on random. Just random ass questions. All right. So, King Solomon, as we showed you in chapter 10, he had rulership. He was employing many nations. Okay? At the end of the day. El Mata Moro. All right, you can add a N on that. You're a moron. All right? You can get up out of here, bro. I'm not here to debate and go back and forth with you. If you don't believe the doctrine, you don't have no understanding, then this live is not for you. Simple as that, bro. Why would you step into someone's house that does not agree with you? Right? Doesn't that seem a little crazy for you, dude? Okay? Let me mute you up. I don't go to your house. I don't go to your job, man, and knock the damn, knock the rag out your hand while you washing the cars. I don't do that. Okay? You come over here when I'm preaching. I'm occupying, waiting on Yahawashi. I'm doing the work, but you come over here just on bullshit. Okay? All right, Black Judah, what's your question? Brother, do you think zebras are just horses from over here that King Solomon brought to Africa? All right, bro. No. No, bro. No. All right, zebras are zebras, man. Horses are horses. Okay? Yeah, I don't know what's up. Bro trying to be deep, man. What type of question is that? I'm one of those. I ain't gonna tell you that ain't no such thing as a dumb question. It's some dumb questions out here. Okay? Like, that's crazy. All right, that's a simple Google search, man. No, zebras are not horses, although they are closely related. Both zebras and horses belong to the same family, Equidae, and genus, indicating a shared ancestry. However, they are distant species with significant genetic differences, right? Zebras are further divided into 3 species, all right? You got grevy's zebras, plain zebras, and mountain zebras. Where do zebras live? They live in Africa, all right? That's where Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi set them up to be, okay? Now, horses did not, okay, this is the thing about history, bro. If you know anything about the Northern Kingdom, you know anything about the tribe of Naphtali, the tribe of Asher, right? They didn't have horses. The Mayans, South America does not have horses like that. The Mayans, who else, man? Okay, Issachar, right? Aztec, so-called. Okay. They did not have Zebulon is the Mayans. They did not have horses like that, right? When Cortez came with his ships, he had what? He had 500 horses, and he was able to run through the land and conquer. All right. At the end of the day, somebody correct this individual. Mir, your Hebrew is off, and if you just sit back and listen, you understand what we're talking about. So Cortez came, he brought horses from Spain, right? So horses were in Europe, were in Spain, were in Asia, because all of that is Asia, all right? It was not horses in South America. So going back to your question, Black Judah, saying, did Solomon bring horses to Israel? No, horses were already there. All right, the scriptures literally tell you what he brought. Let's go back. Okay. It says, bringing gold and silver, ivory and apes and peacocks. That's what he brought to the land of Israel. Horses were already in Israel. Horses were already in Asia. Zebras were already in Africa, right? That's where Yahawah wanted them to be when he set them up. All right. There ain't nobody in here. Let me see, man. I got to do everything today. It's Shalom. It's Shalom or Shalawam, okay? It's no O in Hebrew. All right. Mir, which you already probably left. But that's cool. That's showing that you're not sincere. All right. If you already left. It's Shalom or Shalawam. Now back to the lesson, man. So King Solomon fell because he went over to idols. He committed whoredom. Therefore, him being who? Who is he? Yahawashi, right? Everybody followed at the end of the day. I don't know where everybody at, but it's all good. Everybody followed at the end of the day. That what's the saying? What's the scripture say? A little leaven leaveneth the whole lump. So just from that action of our king leading us down that path, the nation was doomed, right? Yahawashi always sets up major cycles, major dominoes, okay? As Adam, he went off. Then we went off. We fell. As Isaac, what did he do? He gave Esau, he gave Esau that blessing. He gave us the blessing, right? As Melchizedek, what did he do? He set up tithing. He set up the order of Malak Tazadok, Melchizedek, right? As Solomon, he had us fall once again. And as Yahawashi, he fixed all of that and allowed us to come back to Yahawah. So Yahawashi, through all his reincarnations, has been setting us up and dropping us down, setting us up, dropping us down, etc., etc. Right? You know, but it's all because of scripture, and it's what Yahawah has him doing. Yahawashi is the main character, man. When he moves, we move. This is what Genesis and these characters talking about. You don't got to worship Yahawashi. They can't understand. They can't fathom this. They can't, because they don't got the Holy Spirit. All right. Benny did that. Ethiopian and Eritrean. I don't, you know, you got to rephrase your question. Okay. But some Eritreans, both of those nations are mainly Cush, but you have Israelites in those lands as well. Okay. We are scattered amongst all nations. All right. I don't know what you're talking about, dude. How do you spell what? How do you spell what? It's like the comment board on random and ain't nobody here today. What the fuck going on? All right. So let's keep it going. So proving that through the scriptures. Matter of fact, we got to go to 2nd Esdras to furthermore prove that it took them a year and a half. Now this is 2nd Esdras 13 and 40. Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Oshea the king, whom Salmanassar the king of Assyria led away captive, and he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land. But they took this counsel among themselves that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt. That's talking about America, Arsareth. All right, the northern kingdom leaving the land of Assyria and going to America, taking ships, right? They already knew the way because you had certain Israelites that were going with the navy of Tarshish and the navy of Hiram and going to South America, going to North America, right? So you already had Israelites that knew the way, that did that journey before. Except this time it was going to be a one-way trip. It wasn't no coming back, right? So, because if, believe it or not, we had a navy. We were traveling the seas. We were using these stars to travel the seas. It's not that hard. Okay? We're not no dumb, monkeys or nothing like that, man. We were highly advanced. All right? And we are highly advanced still to this day. We're the greatest nation on this planet. And that's talking about the Israelites. All right, verse 42, that they might there keep their statues, which they never kept in their own land, and they entered into Euphrates by the narrow places of the river. For the Most High Yahawah then showeth signs for them, and held still the flood till they were passed over. For through that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half. And the same region is called Arsareth, Salakia. All right, that means foreign land, distant land. It took them a year and a half. Now, as we read in 1 Kings 10:22, it took them 3 years to go there and come back. So this basically just took them a year and a half because it was a one-way trip. Ain't no coming back. They went to America, they dwelt there, and they stayed there. This is why you have Israelites from Alaska all the way down to Chile, Argentina. Okay? What did they do? They set up in different regions. Gad set up in North America. Reuben set up in North America. Florida, right? Oklahoma. They set up in these lands. Okay? Simeon set up in the Dominican Republic. All right? Zebulon, the Mayans, they set up in Central America. Okay? Ephraim, the Puerto Ricans, set up in Puerto Rico. Manasseh, the Cubans, set up in Cuba. Gad, like we already said, Native Americans. Naphtali, they set up where? Argentina, Chile. Asher set up in Colombia, Uruguay, etc., etc. Brazil, a lot of Brazilians are Asher. Okay? Issachar set up in Mexico. Or you know them as the Aztecs. All right, all that stuff you go back into, you understand these are our people. Aztecs, Mayans, Incas. Incas is nothing but Naphtali. That's all they are. Okay? So if you go into the scriptures, you'll understand that Issachar was good at knowing the times. That's in the book of Chronicles, right? Who also had a calendar giving you the end of the world? The Mayans and the Aztecs. That's stating who they are. That's going, you can go to the scriptures with that. They were still good at judging the times, etc., etc. Even though they was bugged the fuck out, they were still good at looking at the sun, looking at the moon, looking at the stars, etc., etc. Using the calendar, which is in the sky. This is what your Mexicans are known for. This is what Zebulon are known for. Your Mayans are known for. Right? So let's keep it going. Really proving that and proving it all through the scriptures. Okay? Let me see, man. I wanted to touch on Moses. One second. All right. I'm going to just read a little bit off this Google AI overview. Because those individuals, they wanted to go into who was the Pharaoh during Moses' time. All right. And most of the time it says Ramses II because of his rulership. Most pharaohs did not rule for that long, but Ramses II ruled for a long period of time. Now let's read a little bit of it. The Bible identifies the ruler during the time of Moses as simply Pharaoh without specifying a name. While the Bible doesn't provide the Pharaoh's name, many scholars believe Ramses II, a prominent builder of the 19th dynasty, is a likely candidate. All right. Others suggest Enmenhotep II of the 18th dynasty as a possibility. Now, how would you really get this understanding? You would have to play around with the times. Okay? Furthermore, and I really don't want to do that because anybody could say it's speculation. Okay? But let's for this time, for this, for the purpose, let's go into when Ramses II ruled. Ramses II, as you can see, he ruled for a long period of time. Most pharaohs do not rule for that long period of time. Ramses II, also known as Ramses the Great, ruled Egypt from 1279 to 1213 BC. This 66-year reign is the second longest in Egyptian history. Now, let's do a little bit of this would be good. Let's see when David ruled. King David ruled over Israel for 40 years, from approximately 1010 to 970 BC. And then King Solomon ruled from 970 BC to what? 930 BC. Okay? At the end of the day. So, how long did Saul rule? I ain't about to go through all the judges, but I'm just trying to get a little timestamp. Saul ruled Israel for approximately 40 years. While the biblical text in 1 Samuel suggests a shorter reign, most scholars and historic accounts, including Josephus and the Apostle Paul, agree on a 40-year period. This duration is mentioned in Acts 13:21. Y'all studying with me right now, right? Let's go to Acts 13:21. Let's see what it says. That's perfect. And afterward, they desired a king, and power gave unto them Saul, the son of Seus, a man of the tribe of Benjamin, by the space of 40 years. So he ruled for a space of 40 years. So what time period would that be? 1010 plus 40. He would have started ruling at 1050. Now, what happened before that? The time of the judges. Now let's see what AI Overview got to say about the time of the judges. When was the time of the judges? Yo, this kind of lines up perfectly. The period of the judges is biblically history and is generally understood to have spanned from the death of Joshua around the early 14th century BC to the anointing of Saul as king. And what did we say? 1050. So 1051 BC. That fits in there perfectly, man. That's a perfect puzzle piece, right? So the next question would be, when did Joshua die? What time period? It's saying he died around 110, but it's not giving me a time period. What time period? Okay. Joshua, according to the Bible, died in the year 1245 BC at the age of 110. He was born in Egypt in 1355 BC and led the Israelites into the promised land after Moses. The book of Joshua records his story and his death. Okay, now let's go back. When did Ramses rule again? (1279 to 1213). So this fits in perfectly with everything we just really went into. I wish I would have wrote them dates down. So if Ramses' rule ended around 1213, right? Then that's kind of iffy. Because Moses, you know what I'm saying? That's why I said it may be up for speculation. But we're in the ballpark of the time that we came out of Egypt was around, you could say like what, 12, maybe 12, 1300. Okay. That would be a good ballpark estimate. So it would be either Ramses the first or Ramses the second. That's why I said it's up for speculation, because the Bible does not state that it's Ramses the second, but it either had to be him or his father, because they were the one ruling around that time period. This is what we understand. So Moses lived around Ramses the first and Ramses the second. Now, when you watch Prince of Egypt, it literally says Ramses, right? It says Ramses the second. It shows you Ramses the first, the father, and then it shows you Ramses the second. And I believe, you know, the Vatican and all that, they got the history. They most likely got the bloodlines and all of that. And they know that it was Ramses the second that was ruling during that time period. All right, because it all kind of matches up. You know, yeah, the brothers, I was going to say that. See, you know, we saw that movie for a reason, man. It shows us in that movie. It said Ramses, right? So I just wanted to show that, just to show biblically, like just to show through AI Overview the time frames. So the time period of the judges was about 200 years. And then King Saul was appointed at 1051. He ruled for 40 years. King David, 1010. He ruled for 40 years. King Solomon, 970. He ruled for 40 years. Then you would have the split at 930, right? And then we would exist for about 200, 300 so years, 200 years, because the northern kingdom went into Assyrian captivity 722 BC. And then southern kingdom went into Babylonian captivity around 630 something BC. Upward, downward to like 590 BC. All right. So that's what I'm saying with history. Sometimes Esau's spot on. Sometimes it's speculation. You want to get around the ballpark so you can have a good understanding of it. But that was pretty much it with Moses and what Pharaoh ruled during Moses. It would either be Ramses the first, Ramses the second. Both of them could have ruled during the time period of Moses, right? As we know that the father did pass and the son took over. Because Moses left Egypt for many years, man. He came back. When Moses came back, I believe he was like 70. All right? He was an old man. At that point in time, though, he was still strong because the earth was different. Our bodies was different. 70, you still good. You know what I'm saying? But he was an older man when he was standing before Pharaoh. He was in his 70s. But I'm going to get one more thing and I'm going to wrap it up. Now, this is, brothers probably done showed this before. This is Lot's wife, which is still there. Let's read it. In the biblical story of Sodom and Gomorrah, Lot's wife is famously turned into a pillar of salt after disobeying an angel's command not to look back at the destruction of the city. This event is recounted in Genesis, the 19th chapter, and the pillar of salt is mentioned as a lasting monument to her disobedience. Now, this is it. This is that pillar of salt, which is still standing today. They have found salt contents in this, all right? And that's pretty much it. That's Lot's wife. So when individuals say, ain't no archaeological evidence, you have certain things like this. You also have, you got plenty of stones. And we could bring out the stones. We always bring out them. But let's get some other things. You got chariots in the Red Sea. Okay? And you can find this out watching the National Geographic channel, man. You have literal chariot wheels, stuff like that at the bottom of the Red Sea. And then I can't remember it, but the Mount Sinai that they're saying is Mount Sinai is not actually Mount Sinai. And brothers brought that out, a couple years ago. Dang, it's like a different mountain that's located like a couple miles away or something like that. But the top of the mountain is actually burnt. Dang, man. I wish I would have known. I wish I could remember it. Top of mountain. I'm gonna look and see if I can find it. This might be it. This might be it. But I want to find out exactly where it's at. I'm going to show it. I'm going to just show it. This is in Arabia, though. As you see, like, the top of the mountain is burnt. And yeah, that dude that said, "Where's the bodies?" I'm like, dude, that shit would have it'd have been done away with. Wait, how, that's showing you the level of intelligence we was dealing with on that live. And this is that's another picture of it. There's a couple other pictures of it. It would, I mean, it probably most likely would look like that because a chariot came down and basically burnt it. It was covered with smoke. It was covered with fire. So it would look like that. These would be things that you can't hide up. You can't hide. You know? So when people say ain't no archaeological evidence of the Bible, you got plenty of things out here, man. The Bible, I mean the body. Look at the body. You think like who you think created the body? But this mountain is in Saudi Arabia. And I want to look up, I just want to let's get a map of Saudi Arabia, where it's located at. See, this would make so much sense. Okay? I'm about to show y'all this. I want to get one. All right. So we would leave Egypt and we would cross the Red Sea and then we would go to Saudi Arabia. This where we would be at. This would be the desert that we went in. Okay? So of course the real Mount Sinai would be there. Right? Now, Baghdad, what is Babylon? Babylon's up here. Our land is going to be up here, Israel. That's why I want to get a map. I'll just get a map of Asia Minor. Map of Asia Minor. And like more detailed though. No. But it's funny, it pulls up these things letting you know that this is Asia Minor. Ephesians and all of that. All right, I guess I got to type in map of Middle East. But as you can see, we would leave Egypt, cross the Red Sea, and we would wander in Saudi Arabia for 40 years. And then Yahawah would eventually let us come to our land over here. In Israel. Kawam, I ain't never heard that. Mount Sinai is a chariot. I think he went up on a physical mountain, right? And the chariot came down. That's why that mountain is burnt. Khan, send me that. Send me that. That is in let me see. I'm gonna go get a scripture on that. It's Psalm 68 and 17. The chariots of power are 20,000, even thousands of angels. Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi is among them, as in Sinai in the holy place. But I've always at the street recently? Yeah, I'm gonna have to look into it. I ain't never heard him say that, but I'm gonna have to look into it. But even in here in the Strong's definition, it says Sinai, mountain of Arabia. Then you know it's in Arabia. But it says in here, the exact location unknown. That's why I'm showing that mountain, to show you that this entire mountain is burnt, the entire top of it. So when the chariot came down, a smoke, a cloud, fire, all of that, that would explain why this entire mountain is still burnt till this day. This one even doper. Hold up. I know everybody done seen this before. This is where Moses split the rock. They still can't even explain that. Why that rock looks like that. Because he split the rock and water came gushing out. Right? So it's showing the path, leaving Egypt, crossing the sea. And then Mount Horeb, split rock. Mount Sinai will be the rock we was just looking at. And it has the altar, and then the golden calf site will be over here. Yeah, Khan. Yeah, Kawam, you gonna have to send me that. Or what street teaching? Like when? But shoot, that's pretty much it, man. Y'all studying with me. Hey, Shalawam, brother Arya. Hold up, brother Arya probably know. Can you come up? (7/24/2025). All right, cool.
Shalawam, bro.
Hey, Shalawam, bro. So, are you ever heard the
Like
elders talk about Mount
5
Sinai?
minutes before I have to head to the gym for a client.
Oh, Khan, how long you got?
I got like 5 minutes available.
Okay, cool. My bad. You ever heard the elders talk about Mount Sinai being a chariot?
Mount Sinai being a chariot?
Yeah.
Or a chariot being in Mount Sinai?
That's what I'm thinking. A chariot coming down to Mount Sinai.
Yeah. You got to remember, Yahawashi was there the whole time. That's who led them out of the wilderness. It was Yahawashi the whole time. When the Red Sea got split,
that was Yahawashi. So the whole movement, that whole escape was because of Yahawashi the whole time in the chariot.
Kind of already, yep.
And I'll do a video on it because I can't think of the scripture right now where talks about Yahawashi being there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm good on that part. A pillar of fire at night, a cloud by day.
Yep, that
You
was
know,
Yahawashi.
But Kawam saying the elder said that Mount Sinai was a spaceship. I gotta get a breakdown on that.
Oh, you saying that Mount Sinai was a ship?
Yeah.
I mean, you know how Yahawashi coming. I mean, he in the ship that's like a mountain. So
Yeah, I get that. What, 2nd Esdras 13 chapter, yeah.
But I mean, definitely all the miracles that Moses was performing was because of Yahawashi being in the chariot. So everything that happened, like he was just basically giving the signs. That's why he told him, hey, when you raise up that rod, then I'm gonna do this. So it was like him giving them signals of when to make it happen. But yeah, so but either or, whether it was the chariot as a mountain and that's what it was at, or whether Mount Sinai was actually a mountain and then a chariot was just there. I mean, either way, like I said, just know that Yahawashi was there the whole time and what the world it call a UFO.
Yeah, of course. But shit, you good, bro. I ain't need nothing really.
All right. Well, shit, man, I'm about to head up to the gym, man. If you get alive tonight, I'll be on it.
All right, for sure.
All right, bro. Shalawam.
Shalawam. All right, I found something on it. A brother, GMS, get this work. It's an old video 2 years ago, but I'm gonna play it. It's the same video that I was looking for. I'm gonna just let it go.
Mount Sinai, the mountain of God, real. Why hasn't mainstream archaeology taken Mount Sinai seriously? Because for 1,500 years we've been looking at the wrong place. St. Catherine's Monastery, the alleged Mount Sinai site, has no archaeologic evidence to support it. But just 300 kilometers to the east is Jabal el-Lawz, which is potentially the real Mount Sinai. Not only does this mountain appear to have been burned by some kind of heat that melts rocks, it is surrounded by geologic and archaeologic evidence. Supports the biblical narrative of the Exodus. Following the path out of Egypt that Moses and the Jewish people could have taken, the Exodus trail begins at the Gulf of Aqaba, where the Israelites were stuck between a rock and a hard place. Technically, rocks in a wet place. On one side, a mountain with the only entry blocked off by the Pharaoh's army, and the other side, the Red Sea. Imaging of the sea floor at the crossing point shows a traversable and gradual decline into the sea. Not a land bridge, but also not a cliff that they couldn't navigate. And in antiquity, this site was known to be the crossing point. The Jewish king Solomon erected markers on both sides of the sea at this crossing point. One of them still exists to this day. After the Red Sea, the Jewish people camped at the palms of Elim.
And they came to Elim, where were 12 wells of water and 70 palm trees.
After Elim was the miracle at the rock in Horeb.
Behold, I will stand before thee there upon the rock in Horeb, and thou shalt smite the rock, and there shall come water out of it, that the people may drink.
Here's what we would want to see to validate that it's the real rock at Horeb. It would need to be identifiable, near Mount Sinai, and have evidence that water flowed from it. This rock is massive. It sits atop a hill and sticks out like a sore thumb. And even though this is a desert climate, there are clear signs of erosion, and it looks like the water source came from the rock. Next stop, the altar to the golden calf. Imagine this. They had just seen God split the Red Sea and then split the rock at Horeb. Now they're watching Moses on Mount Sinai that's on fire. And what do to celebrate? They build an altar to a golden calf and party. At the base of Mount Sinai is an altar made of rock, and it appears to have been erected as an altar to the golden calf. There's even what appears to be Egyptian hieroglyphics of a calf inscribed on the rocks that make up the altar. And now we get to the actual mountain itself. From the base of the mountain, you can see the charred rock at the peak of the mountain. And upon closer inspection, the rocks appear to be melted. What would cause rocks on the top of a mountain to melt? Is it possible that it was the presence of God that did this to these rocks? Can you imagine?
Moses, Moses, put off thy shoes from off thy feet, for the place whereon thou standest is holy ground.
So I would say, I mean, I'm going to watch what the brother's talking about, most definitely. But I can get how, yeah, Mount Sinai being a mountain because the chariot was so massive. But also saying that it's a physical mountain where Moses went up to because of the scriptures. So I get what you're saying, Kawan, you know, but I'm pointing to also the archaeological evidence, which is all around that area. And the mountain itself being burnt, rocks being melted, you know, all of that. So it's beautiful though, because it's, when anybody say, oh, prove the Bible, prove it really happened, that right there, you can't refute that. You got the rock that's split in half that so-called scientists, they still can't explain how a rock is split in half that perfectly, right? They try to say it's like laser technology, you know, but whatever. Man, that's Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi. Moses tapped it. It's split in half. It's erosion around the area, letting you know that water came flowing from the area. What causes erosion? Water causing the rocks to erode, right? So they were drinking from that water right there. You have an altar at the base of the mountain. You have the mountain being burnt. You got rocks being melted. Okay, you got all this type of evidence right there. And, you know, I got to watch the video what the brother was talking about. But most likely the elders was probably saying that the chariot came down and it was like a mountain. So Moses probably went into the chariot. And that's letting you know, though, that the power of the chariot, how massive it is. Look at the mountain, man. Go back. That's a big mountain. So the chariot to burn, you had to burn it burnt all the way around, like all this. Think of how big that chariot is. Okay? I bring the brother Kakama up. Shalawam.
Shalawam. I just wanted to give my thoughts on it because two things can be true at once. Mount Sinai could be the chariot that sat upon that very mountain, right? And burned the top of it, but Mount Sinai being the chariot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, it could be that Mount Sinai was the chariot, which I'm gonna have to look for that video that the elder put out. But, you know, it could have sat on top of that mountain and burned the mountain, but Mount Sinai actually being the actual chariot.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Because that mountain ain't just get burnt for no reason. Like,
because you're in the area, right?
Yeah, it's all there.
The right area.
The rock that's cracked, the altar is at the bottom of the mountain. It's all there.
Oh yeah, I seen a video that Elder Chahar put out, and the name of the video is called "Proof That the Demons Speak Hebrew." It's on his What's the 666 Mark page. It's had the same technology that they have in these smartphones.
Yeah,
that's the technology of Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi. So when the Levi priests went to the temple and got the download, it's the same technology that you have in your hand right now. Got the download from Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi with the smartphone.
You're through them. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all it is. That's how, I mean, shoot, we look, if you think about it, we look and see people doing sins all on our phones. That's what the priests used to do. And that's wild. Knowledge shall be increased. Everybody got a Urim Thummim in their pocket now.
Yeah. But shoot, man, that's just my 2 cents. I could be wrong, but
I mean, I think we all right. Like, I think most definitely the elders probably said that, of course. And we looking at it, how they looking at it as that mountain. Second Esdras 13 chapter, it's like a mountain. That chariot is like a mountain. That's the size of it. Because it burnt all around the mountain. So it's massive. It was huge. And they seeing it. It's clouds all around. And Moses was up there for what, 40 days, right? So they like, he ain't ate, he dead. They thinking that. He ain't coming back. And dude said that they wrote with Egyptian writing. They going, that was some wicked ass jakes going back to their old ways, man.
also to use as a stumbling block, if I could see for those fools from that live earlier.
Yeah.
They see he's the Canaanite god. You see that? He wrote the Egyptian hieroglyphics. Common sense will tell you that they were oppressed in Egypt, Jake. So I mean,
Exactly. That went right
don't you
into my
speak
mind.
English?
Exactly. So yeah, that's what. Let's say we came out of America today, and we made some type of altar. We gonna write that shit in English, cause that's what we learned. We didn't let's say we didn't learn the Hebrew. We gonna write it in whatever language that we knew. They knew hieroglyphics. They were speaking that. So that's
They
what
were in Egypt
yeah,
for 400 years.
exactly. So they was oppressed. They were speaking their captives' language.
We've been in Babylon for 200 years. And we still speaking English, don't know, ninjas knowing Hebrew and think they all sorts of Egyptians and Kemet and all this other nonsense. But Jake can't see that though. Yeah, they too stupid. Soddish children. That's our father would put it.
Yeah, they can't see it. But shoot, man, I'm about to wrap it up.
All right, man. Shalawam, brothers. Bahasham,
Yahawah do a live later on tonight, and we won't be studying together because I was studying right now. But that's how we go through it, man. We got to the bottom of it, and we got to, because I was looking for that video the whole time, because I had saw it long time ago. But that's all. That's Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi. That video came up.
Yeah.
But shoot, man, Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi Barak Ahtham to y'all brothers. As always, all praises be to Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi Bahasham Kakadash. Double honors to the apostles again of Great Millstone, and Shalawam to the Lord's hopeful elect. Kwam Yasharahla, Baba Ball to this wicked kingdom. May Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi destroy this bitch soon, man. Shalawam.